10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Joy Seekers are live.
And good evening. It's Sunday yet again, and
They're covered in paint.
They are.
and we've got Backpack Jackie paint and decorate.
I've got you trying to put nail varnish on and forgotten how to do it.
I actually wasn't painting. I actually was tidying a cupboard and I spilt the paint over everything, including my foot. Never mind. Not
Yeah, that's sort of class as painting and decorating, but not officially.
Yeah, painted myself.
Right, so we've got Terry and Marcus. Marcus, I just realised hang on, we've got to move some people around here. Hang on. That's better.
Mark has spots, don't worry.
Because it's only because when Marcus drops the Skydio, Jackie can catch it.
I can catch it.
Right, who have we got in the house so far? We've got Hot Rod in Daytona. We've got Mike. And
Lauren.
we have Lauren.
Stephen in the
Lauren.
bar.
And hang on. That's the same one. So I'm just well, I'll start again.
Jaybird.
There's too many the same people here.
Rod.
Where is he? Oh, Jerry. There he is. Jerry.
Jerry.
And we have Johnny Drone Flyer.
Flyer.
And we have Mr. Stephen himself. And Jaybird.
What is that massive drone behind you, Steve? Tell us about that.
Oh, very funny. Yeah. Hang on, just a minute. Just have a little moment here. Hang on. Well, Laura,
What is that drone behind Steve then? Someone tell me.
that is an Inspire. Inspire 1.
Is it as big as it looks?
It is massive. Massive.
It's his new toy.
It's one at a
Cool.
time. It's I'm trying to think. I can't really put that into proportion really. Of size, it's probably about 10 times the size of a Mavic. I suppose.
Really? It's a
Well,
monster.
you know what I mean.
So it doesn't give you a haircut when it comes near. It gives you a throat cut.
I wouldn't get too close to that. I can assure you that when I took off, I'm normally still stand about 2 foot away from a drone when it takes off. With that one, more like 20 foot. No, it's not that bad. It's a beast, but the mechanics. I just love all the mechanics of it. You can't see it there, but those little arms they actually raise right up above, so it looks like it swoops down, looks like an eagle.
Oh wow, it's a beastie.
Because you can't see it with the cat. Oh, I can't really. If I can, hang on. I can't really. No,
Go in the kitchen.
Go in the kitchen, yeah. I still can't see it. There's a camera hanging down there somewhere, Jackie. You can't really see it, but there's a camera hanging down there, and it basically the props move out of the way of the camera.
Hey, have I got time to tell a quick story, Steve?
Go on, yeah, tell a quick story.
Well, my last drone flight, I took the DJI Mini 2, and one of the local parks, they had done some changes to the landscaping. They built this big, well, it's not a big area, but an area of hard packed sand, and they with a semicircle of granite benches around it, and they put up a bunch of different landscaping and so forth. And I thought, well, this is a perfect opportunity to take the drone up and look at all this stuff. Well, this area of hard-packed sand, I could tell that some kids had been messing around in there and shuffling around in the sand. But, I thought, okay, I'm still going to take the drone up. it wasn't until I got home and looked at the drone footage that I
What
figured
they've
out
drawn.
what was really going on there. They made some diagrams in the sand, and you couldn't tell when you're down low. You couldn't. It just looked like.
No.
But when you're up there like that, yeah, it was certain parts of the anatomy that, yeah. So
Oh, big
So,
drum.
is that going to be in your next video then?
it is not. Well, that video footage is just not going to work.
I'm sure I can find that footage, Jackie. We will be able to see it. I'll show you.
So you got your own NASCAR pictures then, Marcus?
My own what pictures?
NASCAR. It's those great big, in South America that they found inscribed on the.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. That is exact. That is precisely what it was. From the ground, you couldn't tell what it was, but as soon as you had the drone up there, it was like, oh, wow, now.
There we are, Jackie.
I think you should messenger the pictures later.
I think so. Yeah. Big
There we are.
boy.
You can see it now. Look, there it is. You can see the camera now. Look there.
Wow, flipping out. That's almost big enough to sit on, isn't it? Right.
And these arms that you see the props on there, they rise right above. They go the opposite, that same angle but upright.
To get the props out of the shot.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
it.
Yeah.
There we are. Right. Anyway,
And by the way, you do know that drone has been discontinued by DJI.
I know, but the good thing about it, he did have his own software called DJI Pilot.
Right.
However, it works with the DJI Go app very well.
Right.
Oh, good.
Right. So, we've got echo here somewhere. I'm not sure where it's coming from. It doesn't matter. Anyway,
It's not me.
Terry.
this time.
Let's welcome this week's Drone Seekers live show special guest.
Ooh, we got lots of echo.
What
Echo.
was that?
We have lots of echo.
Hello, guys.
Hi, Mark. Hi, Mark again.
Hello, Mark.
Mark.
Hi. And the Inspire's not that big. It's no bigger than a cushion. And it only weighs 3.5 kilos. It's a tiny machine.
Compared to a Mavic.
Compared with the Mavic Mini, I'll tell you, Mark, believe me, that's a big drone.
But I suppose it
looks
depends
serious,
on what
doesn't
you're
it?
comparing it to. But to me,
It was a great drone. It was a great experience to fly it today. I must admit. I mean, I just sort of looked at it and thought, I said to the guy I went flying with, I said, do us a favour, can you use Hamlin's suitcase?
yeah, it gives me a nice case.
Honestly, it looked like I was going on holiday.
Wow.
It's good for ATI practice. If you want to fly ATI mode,
Yeah.
just look it down, and she'll do 50 miles an hour.
Yeah,
See, now I don't know why anyone would want us flying ATI mode, because when I went into ATI mode, my drone went off to Morocco.
Yeah, but that had a bloody problem, didn't it?
Well, yeah, it was
Personal-
ATI mode.
personal
Big,
problem.
big problem.
Jackie, that drone had attitude.
I know it did.
Attitude, yes.
Yeah. It's I'm out of here. Woof. Gone.
No, give me GPS. I'll stick with GPS, thank you.
Well, I had great fun flying my my Mavic 2 Pro in sport mode today. Yeah, I suddenly realised, Marcus, what you said.
Oh.
I actually activated sport mode, 46 miles an hour acted. and I thought, so, do you know what? I wonder what it's like to fly this in sort of like a no screen, just fly it with the sticks. So, brilliant. Absolutely great fun. I have got the footage, but what it's going to look like, I don't know. It would scare the life out of me when I watch it, I think. Anyway, Mark's come on stage to tell, because we were going to talk about this last week, but we just didn't have time. Mark's published a video and I'm not sure what the title of the video is, but it's regarding the A2 CFC in Europe. So, Mark, you can tell a bit more about that, I'm sure.
Yes, so someone I know who is a drone operator, actually quite local to me. I did their A2 CFC a bit ago. I pointed them towards the A3 open category for the EU, which I did the video before, and they kept digging. So I hadn't looked too hard about the A2 CFC, but they kept digging away. And they found the company and said, if you talk to them, they'll tell you how to do it all. So I did. I went, right, let's find out. A2 CFC for Europe, for flying in the EU, should I say, actually. So it's all the EU plus Norway, Switzerland, and Greenland, because they have a bilateral deal. So it covers you. Now, it is quite a lengthy process, which is why you're best off going to the video description, to be honest, because if you follow what it says, it will work for you. But basically, you can do your A2 CFC online with the drone company that's in the video description. And what they do is they do part e-learning. So you do part of it as e-learning. Then there's a little bit they do as a Zoom presentation to you. They will then put you forward to the exam, to the Irish CAA.
So do you do that the same way as you do the English, the one in England with the camera, whatever?
I've not done it myself. I believe it is all done. You literally do the exam, and it's camera, and you'll just answer the questions accordingly.
Yeah.
Now, what's really interesting is you can register as a third country operator for the Irish Aviation Authority, but that covers you for the whole of the EU then as well.
Okay.
So you can literally do your A2 CFC online for Ireland. You'll register as an operator in Ireland. I think it costs something like €30. It's actually in the video, the exact.
Yeah.
It's about €30. Now, if you've already done your A3 open category certificate, you can even bring that into it as well, and it will link them all together. So you'll have a Luxembourg A3. You'll then have
That's what we got.
You can then have your Irish A2 CFC and operator ID together. Now, the main niggles are it can take a bit of time to go through the process because they do like a check on you. So the Irish Aviation Authority, when you register, you're going to go through a check. So as long as you're making sure that when you give them your passport details, it's the same as where you live, it keeps it all smooth, if you know what I mean. You want to make sure that everything you're telling them is not two separate addresses or anything. It's all the same. It will all go through. It takes about 48 hours for them to do the checks on you. And then they can pull in your Luxembourg because you'll give them those details. They'll pull that in. Then you'll pass your A2 CFC for Ireland, and that'll go in, and it'll all be registered. And it's valid for 5 years. Now, the operator ID, obviously, that's every year or so, recurring.
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
Pull them together, and it gives you the ability to fly in the A2 CFC in across the EU, which is fantastic.
As far as you, Terry, did you? You did the Jackie, you did it as well. The Luxembourg thing.
Yeah.
That Luxembourg thing, I'm right, is similar to our one we do in the UK, is it? The £9 thing. Well, not well.
Yeah.
No, you don't pay nothing for the test. You pay £9 to register it, don't you?
It's different. So
don't pay anything with Luxembourg.
That's what I mean. They don't pay nothing, Mark. How does that work then?
yeah, so in the UK you don't. Only if you're an operator do you pay in the UK. So if you were just a flyer, you can do what we call the DEMARES, which is basically the A3 open test, which Terry and Jackie have both done for Luxembourg, I believe.
That's right.
That's right.
But the Luxembourg stuff is actually better than our stuff. If you were to do both, it's quite interesting. But the Luxembourg stuff is really well presented.
Well, it's funny you should say that, Mark, because when I joined the BMFA, because it was only after watching your video about the category 16 thing and whatever, I thought, okay, we'll have some of this. So it goes on to BMFA, and for some obscure, I had a mental block, and I thought, I've got to do this test to join the BMFA. So I sat there, did this test, and then he was asking me for money. And I told him,
Hold on.
I don't need this. I've already done this. So I did the exam for nothing.
I mean, the
What does the A2 CFC give you above and beyond the?
Well, I'll let Mark tell it, because it gives you certain permissions, but Mark, perhaps you can put it in better words than I can, I'm sure.
So basically, from 500 grams to 2 kilos,
Yeah.
it gives you 50 meters horizontal separation from uninvolved people with current aircraft. There are no C2 marked aircraft yet, so just forget about them for a second. We'll just ignore them.
Okay.
Under the current aircraft you can currently buy and fly, it gives you that 50 meters horizontal separation anywhere, as long as they're, and it's basically the same as the UK's at A2 CFC. And that's it. That's what it gives you.
Hey, Mark, I got a quick question as a American. Is there reciprocity with the UK with regard to my Part 107 license?
No, you would have to do the A2 CFC in the UK if you came to the UK. If you was going to the EU, you could actually do the Irish test. And you could then take your Mavic 2 Pro to mainland EU and you could fly it. Because when you sign up to the EU, to the Irish stuff, you do it as a third country, same as the UK. So you'll be fine.
Got you.
Same process for yourself.
So if I'm going to go to Spain to visit Jackie and Terry, I bet that's what I would need to do.
Yeah,
or
you could.
Could I fly the under 250 gram without issue, or?
You would have to do the Luxembourg. Well, you've got a choice, actually.
Yeah,
you can do the Luxembourg one that's free. So you'll do the Luxembourg test, which is free, which will cover the A1 and in the A3. So the Mini is in the A1, or if you like A0, so it's there. Or you can do the Irish version, which does cost €30, but it means you can get an operator ID as well, and then you could go and fly no problems.
Perfect.
Yeah.
What's really crazy is, although it covers you for Ireland and flying across the EU, you've still got to watch out for all the local rules.
Yes.
So airspace will be slightly different. France want a fireproof tag on the drone. You have to make sure. Yeah, so you've got to be careful where you're going to make sure that your drone is labelled accordingly for the country, and you have a way to check the airspace.
The best way there, Mark, is what I did. I mean, when I registered, I thought the chances are I will go to Europe at some stage. I thought, I'll just get some labels made. Fireproof. I had to get them made in Germany for whatever reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, they're available on as in DE, aren't they?
Yeah, but there's no point.
That's these ones. That's these, Steve, isn't it?
Yeah. Until you've got an operator ID, Steve, for somewhere like Ireland, there's no point, because you can't make the label until you've got your operator ID.
Right. Yeah.
Because your UK operator ID is worthless.
It's right. Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, my whole theory is, if and when I go to Spain, what do I do? Because at the end of the day, I could take my drone, and I could also get it confiscated for flying it illegally.
Well, if you've done the Luxembourg test, you're covered to fly in the open category, but it's just registering the drone is the problem then, or you register as an operator.
I can't register it. I can't register it. Well, the only thing I can do, the only option I've got is the Irish option, isn't it?
Technically, yes.
I've seen nowhere in Spain where we have to register our drones as yet.
Well, you don't register a drone. This is the kicker. Everyone says you never register your drone. You only register the operator. You register the operator.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But you see, like the likes of Jackie and I, our flying is done mainly, in fact, 99% of the time, it's done way out in the open, away from people. So as far as we're concerned, the A1 and A3 would be sufficient.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just carry your certificate with you.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
Paperwork.
Yeah, just carry paperwork.
But how about so? Okay, so with this Luxembourg thing that we did, Now we've got that. So, because that hasn't got an operating license on it, it hasn't got an operator's number on it, is it?
That's just
No.
training. You could do that
Yeah, of
without
course
having
it
a
is. Yeah.
drone.
Yeah, you can do that without having to train. But
Yeah.
again, if you register with the Irish Aviation Authority and you get their operator ID via the third country option, which you can do, and go and register and giving your passport,
Right.
you
Okay.
become an operator. But apparently, if you do speak to the training company that I list in that video,
Yeah.
they will tell you a bit more and they will explain it. But that video literally has the 5 steps to go through.
So, so really, what you're saying that you don't actually have to do the A2 CFC. You
No.
could just do like the Demares, but in Ireland, and then you get an Irish operator license, an Irish operator number, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you can do the A3 open category version for Ireland if you want to.
And that would be enough. That would be enough, really. I mean, for me, because at least it would give me an operator number to fly legally in Europe, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
And Marcus could just get the Luxembourg one, and then he could fly it. Yeah.
But no, but Marcus, like me, would still have to get an Irish operator license, Irish operator number.
So you're probably better off getting the Irish operator number.
Right.
Yeah, you've got to, because as Mark was saying, the problem if you've just got the Luxembourg, as you say, it's just an exam thing. That's like the Demares part of it. So could you use that then to get the Irish operator license in?
it can pull in the Luxembourg details. As I said, when you register as an operator and everything, if you provide the right details, they will then go and check you've got your Luxembourg A3 open certificate, and they can pull that in as well. So your operator ID will have all this information. It's a bit like a driving license where you add on vehicles.
Yeah. So that to me, then that sounds like the simplest way to about fly in Europe, because I've already done like the equivalent of the Demares in Luxembourg. So all I need now is to register with the Irish whatever it is. Yeah, everyone's following this. We can ask questions later.
It is very it can get very confusing, but like I always say, just read the video's description for the video I made.
Yeah.
All those bits are there. It's all laid out. Yeah. Someone was asking me questions, and I'm like, you've got to wait 48 hours before you can do anything anyway, because they're going to check. It's quite clear in the video description. If you're not going to wait, and you're expecting it to be instant, then you're barking up the wrong tree. Yeah. It's going to take a little time to do.
I'm not going to wait 48 hours. I mean, it's only 2 days, for goodness sake. It's not the end of the world.
That's nothing, is it, Terry? The amount of waiting we had to do to get ours registered.
Well, exactly.
3 months.
It was months.
Yeah.
This world, if we can't have it now, it's not worth it.
So anyone in the UK or anyone outside Europe, should I say, be more precise, is thinking about visiting Europe, that's the thing to do. Just go there.
Yeah.
Or don't bother taking your drone. That is the other choice.
So one quick point. I could come to Spain or the UK, either one, and with an American driver's license, I could get in this multi-ton machine and go hurtling down the road at 80 miles an hour and be perfectly legal. But if I fly my drone...
No, you can't do 80 miles per hour in the UK. You can max out at 70.
Well, actually, Marcus, I've realised you can actually go faster in Spain. Do you know what they are? Because the signs will say 100, a lot of them say 120.
I know they're changing all the
talking about Colombia.
Okay,
yeah.
Hey, all kidding aside, you know what the speed limit is on the motorway here in Idaho? 85 miles an hour. 85.
Oh, right.
So,
I've been to America a few times, and it's really weird. So the interstates are a bit strange. They're great, don't get me wrong, but you can be bombing along, right? You can be bombing along, and all of a sudden it'll drop to 55. And then what it'll do is it'll go back up at a certain point. It sort of drops. It will stay at 55 for a bit, and then it'll bump itself back up again. But there could be big stretches of 55, and it's like, why is it 55?
Yeah, there's not a car in sight for miles because everyone's driving 55 miles an hour. It's absolutely nuts. But I mean, I don't know if it's still the same, but in Germany, I've never done it myself, but they tell me in place in Germany, there is no speed restrictions.
Yeah, it's the Autobahn, isn't it?
That's
It's
on the
got
Autobahn.
no- I'd love to have a go on that, wouldn't you?
I've done
My
it.
car's not enough.
Oh, I'd so be all over that. Me and that Corvette, we would be in triple digits. Yeah.
So what does Lauren think of Lauren? What do you think of the Inspire then, Lauren? The Inspire one, because I still think it's a brilliant drone. I really do.
Well, Lauren would be the guy to ask, and
Yeah.
I know that he recently got rid of a bunch of his commercial drones, just because he's retired now and he doesn't need them anymore. But he said it felt like it was a sad day for him. He said,
See, that's true. But if you was to go to Ireland and you wanted to do the GVC, right? So all the training companies now do the conversion course. But what's really interesting is if you want to do the GVC for mainland EU, for example, I did speak to the guy on the phone. You actually have to go out and do a flight test. They will not accept any flying hours from the UK people. If you wanted to have a GVC for mainland EU, you have got to go to Ireland to do the flight test.
You see, well, best we do go to the States, Mark, because you do 107. You don't do no practical there.
"You don't do practical, no, but let me tell you that Part 107 exam is extensive, and don't think that you can just walk in and take it and
No, it's equivalent to the GVC, Marcus. The GVC, trust me, is hours of sitting in the classroom and all sorts of.
The GVC is not that bad. If you can do what's really amusing to me, right? And there might be an RAE watching this, and they're not going to like this. What's really interesting to me is the A2CFC. You can teach it in about a day, in about 4 to 6 hours, depending upon the people you're teaching and the questions asked. So that's how long it takes to teach the A2CFC. If you look at all the online stuff that all these companies plow you with, so I thought I would be nosy, for example, and I've got the Copters one because it's free, the training's free. Well, I've got to be nosy. The amount of stuff that's bloated is incredible. Don't crash them.
That's not true, actually. Not in the UK, we can get loads of parts for the Inspire. I did check that out. Actually. Loads of spare parts.
Inspire one's had its day.
No.
But anyway, going back to the so going back to the training, so you can actually learn the A2CFC, like I say, in 6 hours. If you're spending any longer than 6 hours, you're getting fed too much stuff. You're probably getting overload. Okay. Now the GVC takes about a day and a half to 2 days to teach. And the biggest thing in that is probably the map reading and the airspace and understanding those two things. The rest of it, for the most part, is actually the A2CFC-common sense, a lot of it. I mean, I know quite a few people that have done the Part 107 from the UK, and they said it's not that bad. It's just us understanding the airspace difference. That's the biggest thing.
So you say airspace. Obviously, with the A2CFC, they apply out showing what parts of the airspace belong.
No, you don't need to know it. Who cares?
And
This is
Upside down wedding cakes over airfields. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Jackie's right. The problem is, right, they think we need to know about Class A airspace. Class A airspace is at 10,500 feet.
way up there.
Yeah.
Who gives a rat's
Exactly.
Yes.
Mark, on the Part 107, I had to learn all the takeoff and landing protocol at an airfield. Down, upwind, crosswind, downwind, base, and final. Well, I'm flying a drone. There's a lot of that.
The problem is, I think a lot of these places, they think that they've got no comparison. They've never had drones before that give us the ability to, they had nothing to measure against. So they had to go against manned aviation. And they think we have to know about an approach for a fixed wing. I don't care. Or, your circuit height at every airfield is 800 feet or above. Very few are lower than that anyway. So I don't care about them because they're up there. It's not like I'm flying at 1,000 feet. Do I have to join the circuit? Then do I need to know if it's left or right-handed? I'm not joining the circuit, so I don't care. It's ridiculous.
It's important to know where you can and cannot fly. That's critically important.
Right. And that basically sums it up, because whatever way you look at it, whatever you're going to do with that drone, talking about permissions to fly nearer to an airport, then
it's just a phone call. In the UK, it's a phone call.
Exactly, it's a phone call. So again, it goes back to what Marcus is saying, knowing where and where not to fly, and where you want to fly, what permissions do you need to do it, blah, blah, blah.
It's easier than that in the US. It's on your app. You get on your app and you say, hey, can I have permission to fly here? And they'll grant you permission. If you're very close, you may only have a 200-foot or 100-foot height, but it's that easy.
Yeah.
So I think what we'd have to do, Marcus, just ring up and just say to them, look, I'm going to be flying at such and such an altitude.
No,
I've never done. I mean, you've done it. I mean, what do you do? You talk if you're going to fly nearer than 5 miles to an airport.
So first things first is you determine which airport you're going to be near. Okay, and you go, right, okay, am I going to be in the flight restriction zone? So in the UK, we have the flight restriction zones, and they have the little runway protection zones as well with a little stump.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's 2.5 nautical miles out from the center point in the circle, and then it's 5 kilometers for the stubs. So they just stick out a little bit. And you want to be in one of them. And all you've got to do is go and find out who operates that airport and its telephone number. So in the UK, all our airports are operated by different companies, same as in America, I assume. And you can find the details in the NATS AIP. However, it's a NATS airport, so this is where it gets really... Our system is not joined up. Our system is silly. So what you do is you have to look and see if the airport is a NATS airport. If it's a NATS airport run by NATS, National Air Traffic Services, you then have to submit on a web page and say, I want to fly here. Okay, and you must submit this form 28 days before the flight or something like that.
And someone the 28 days and it's chucking down the rain.
It gets better. It gets better, trust me. So you then submit your thing, and then they come back and they say, yes, you can, but what we want you to do is phone the airport to make sure that you can fly. So in principle, we say you can, but then you have to call the airport and they can still say no.
Oh my God! Could you imagine doing this in Spain, Terry?
No, I'm not even thinking about it, Jackie.
So Leeds Bradford Airport, right, also has a heliport. Now, a heliport has a flight restriction zone, but there's no runway stubs because obviously helicopters don't need them. But if you're in a certain area, you actually need permission from Leeds Bradford Airport and the heliport. So you've got to phone both of them to get permission to fly inside the airspace. And they wanted, what was it? They wanted 7 days notice from me. And I said, well, give me a 7-day weather window then that's, perfect.
Yeah. So
because you can't do it.
Yeah, Kim was that. Well, I was on the PFO was a 4-day course.
Yeah,
course.
4 days.
There was a great deal I found was irrelevant to flying a drone. That's it, because it doesn't. Well, that's the thing though. Doesn't the is it the PFCO just covers you for any aircraft? Surely.
Well, the GVC does, yeah. So the GVC, so you can't overfly with a Mavic 2 Pro in the UK, for example. You can't overfly, but I can overfly if I'm flying it under my GVC. I can overfly. I have this debate all the time with other RE instructors. They're like, "Oh, you can't overfly a road," but now because of the A2CFC says you cannot go near uninvolved people, the GVC is for overflying roads and everything else and houses. Because if it didn't, it'd be no better than the A2CFC.
Twice now I've been approached with people when we were out flying, and I'm just, there was one couple there one day that obviously wasn't going to go away much before we or let them see the drones. So I just said to him, I said, just to let you know, you're now involved people. Sorry?
Yeah.
Involved in what? I said, you're involved. You know we're flying a drone. I can't fly this drone when you're uninvolved because I'm too close to you. So I said, you are now involved, okay? You're with us.
Whether you like it or not.
And then he said, fine. And then I took my drone off.
So here's an interesting little thing for you. Here's a little bit of information. In CAP 722, so the UK rules and regs, it does state that in an emergency you can breach the horizontal law separation. You can bring it down to 1-to-1.
Is that what if you had to get out of the sky from another aircraft, or
it could be that, or you've got to land in an emergency somewhere? So
right.
So if you were flying and someone says no, we're not involved, we object, whatever, you could still come in and land because that little bit of text says that in an emergency, in the emergencies, your battery's about to go flat.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Just bring her in, right? Just bring her in, because there is that bit in CAP 722 that states in an emergency you can just come in and land.
I mean, that was the one question. I was doing my A2C and I actually said, do I need to really read CAP 722? They said, well, not really. One of the questions was from bloody CAP 722. Just as well I read some of it.
Hey, I will say this. What Kim said earlier was absolutely true. A lot of the information he didn't need, but it was fascinating. I really enjoyed the process and I learned a lot, but I learned a lot of things I didn't need to know. It was fun. I liked it.
Yeah, I honestly think in order to do these things, you've got to at least enjoy, a bit more enjoy flying a drone, I think, realistically. Because at the end of the day, if you're doing it for the hell of it, well, good luck to you, but I can't see the point of doing it.
Here's a question then for Marcus. Here's a question for the 107. Did you have to learn how to set an altimeter? Did you learn manned aviation QFE and NQH and all that?
No, they did. Obviously, they taught us the difference between mean sea level elevation and then AGL. But the part that I thought was really overdone was reading the METARs and the TAFs and
METARs are pointless for the most part.
Exactly. If you're flying a drone,
I get grief off this from other RA instructors because I go, who cares about an airfield, its weather, 5 kilometers or 5 miles away?
Yeah,
it's no good to me. I'm not flying 5 miles over there to them, so why do I care what their weather is doing? All you care about is it's going to get better or worse during the day. I can't quite read that. What to say that?
Like you said, Lauren, so you guys have a test your license. Well, it depends what license you talk about, Lauren. You can just do an online multiple guess question thing, and then pay £9 a year to become an operator. You can but your question, the only time you do a practical test is when you do the whole what used to be called the PFCO, which is now the GVC, which you do and you fly around little poles and things, if I remember rightly. What did you do then?
So what we used, when I was teaching, what we used to do is, so there's a practical, so you have 2 parts to the flight test. One is your basic flight skills. So I will give you a maneuver and you will go and do it, right? So the lazy 8, for example, so you'll have the center point, got a point over here and a point over there, and you just fly around one and fly around the other, and it's a nice lazy 8 kind of thing. And there's a few other moves in there as well. So just to make sure that you understand stick and puts and you can correct yourself. I don't mind the odd little mistake, as long as you don't fly off, kill and destroy a building and cars blow up. That would be a fail. But
really? I'm surprised.
And then the second part of the flight test,
that building.
So the second part of the flight test with the GVC is you are given a task to do. And it could be as simple as there's a clump of trees right over there, or there's a building or something. I want you to do it as if you were doing it as an inspection job or a photo job, or I want, as if it's a real task. And during this task, I will then give you emergencies of different kinds that you will then react to accordingly to your ops manual.
Oh my god, don't understand that.
That's another thing. Part of the advanced license required.
Part of our advanced license requires flying a demonstration to watch of a reviewer. That's just the GBC Part 2.
Yes, I think that's what you just said.
That's the practical. That's the practical side. Yeah.
Lauren's is in Canada, right?
Yeah, he's in Calgary, Alberta, in Canada. Now, but the cool thing about Canada is sub 250 gram drones, you don't need any kind of a license. And their rule is with a sub 250 drone, just don't do anything stupid. That's essentially
You know what,
the
right?
rule.
I've got a solution to all these practical tests. They should just do it like they did when I did my motorbike license, right? They put an egg cup on their helmets and egg in it. You had to drive around these cones and not drop the egg out. Right? They put the egg cup on the drone and fly without losing the egg. That'd be a good test, wouldn't it?
No, because if you brake too hard, the eggs would go bloody fly.
What was really interesting is when they announced to all the RAEs that they were going to do the A2CFC and this was how it was going to work. I was actually at the CAA office when they did this, so there's like 20 RAEs there, 40 of us, instructors, listening to the CAA, and they go, "There's no practical flight test for the A2CFC." Now, it's a certificate of competency. How is someone competent without a practical flight test?
Well, exactly. That's what I don't understand, to be honest with you.
It's not a certificate of competency in my eyes.
So they're trying to say, okay, you know what to do with that drone.
Not driving the car.
Yeah, it is. I must admit. But am I right in saying, though, at one time, the A2CFC, I'm sure there was some sort of practical test but you can't.
Certification.
Never.
Self-certification.
That's right. Oh no, I think you find that some companies, not the one I did it with, but some companies actually insist on seeing the records of that you've actually done it on your flight.
Oh yeah, but that's nothing. That's quite easy, to be honest.
Mark is still looking about the eggs.
Yeah, it's just
Excellent idea, Jackie.
That was an excellent idea. You don't get the yolk, do you?
yeah.
Oh, it's like your jokes that crack me up.
Let me tell you.
Oh yeah, talking of joke time. No,
we were jumping the gun here.
Terry, I want to talk to Terry for just a second. I took the police test on a motorcycle, right? They have close to me here, it really covers all the local police, state police, and everybody. And they teach you how the police ride their motorcycles in tight corners and circumstances, etc. Let me tell you, that egg test that Jackie's talking about, it would not work.
Oh.
It would be a big mess.
Anyway. Crack me up.
You're too early yet, Jackie.
Crack me up there.
Anyway, video of the week time.
Yes, see, Jack.
Lady at 46 South Road.
Go ahead.
There you go. No,
Just wobbly, wasn't it?
I just love the editing in that. I just think it was
Yeah, smart.
something
It was
else.
different.
I never care for those quick cuts like that. You know, just as you're getting
No.
interested in a subject, it cuts to something else. But
I think
different
I think
strokes for different
I
folks.
think that was more about the music, to be honest. I mean, I've got some pretty good D speakers up, and that sound, I'm telling you, believe you me, that sound was pretty banging.
And anyone else watching it going,
I'm sorry, it was too long for me.
I'm the same as Marcus. You know, I'm waiting for him to come down and do an FPV into the trees, and it cuts to something else.
I think that was done by with about 3 different
no,
drones.
you got to keep them wanting more, Terry. That's why.
Yeah.
I crashed mine this week. The first crash.
Oh my God!
Transition,
Why are you
yeah.
only just telling us this? I
Yeah.
haven't.
Well, because I'm practicing now going through narrow gaps. And the first thing I did was line the drone up, and I walked out to look at it. The gap was my car, Bougainvillea.
Right.
So I've got it lined up, and in my goggles, I've got the sight. So I'm looking right. I know where the sight is. I know what I've got either side. So whoosh, straight through. No problem at all. Down the drive, flipped it round, came back, and then thought, oh, no, hang on, stop. And then gently eased it through. Thought, oh, no, I'm too far. 40 to the left, straight to the Bougainvillea. And it came out covered in pollen. And it was though it had a red and yellow spots all over it. So I dusted it down, took off again, and then flew the gap again, and then flew around the garden, around the bushes, around the open gazebo, and it's coming along brilliantly.
So
But I would ask, does anybody know where I can get some leg braces for it? Not leg braces, you know, they're stiffness that go down the side.
Who was it? Tim Church got some, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether they're worth getting.
But someone else said, yeah, well, if you're not going to get a break there, you're going to get a break somewhere else. I thought, well, okay, well, the best thing to do is keep you up in the air then, because won't break up there.
Yeah. That's good.
Hey, Steve, you know, we were just talking about viewer videos, and I just want to give a shout out to somebody that I saw today. He's one of our Drone Seeker members. I've not heard of him before, but I just watched his video today. He's in the UK, Tim Holyoke, and his channel is called The Owl, and he posted a video about the Dale Abbey that was just fascinating. If you're interested in history and he combines drone footage similar to what Kim does, he really told a really cool story.
We'll look at that, and perhaps we'll feature on our show next week, because it's
just shouting it out. Good work needs to get shouted out. So
still from the DHL
guy. Whatever that is, yeah. Joke of the week. Joke of the week.
Joke time.
Change the music to Benny Hill theme music.
I agree with that. Well, yes.
Okay, right, okay. Right, okay. Well, yes, it is that time again. So here we go.
Go on.
And now it's time for Terry's Joke of the Week.
Terry.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Really good friend of mine, Anne. She's a nurse in the emergency ward. And to give her a break, they thought, well, we've got this bloke coming in and he needs looking at, but he needs somebody who's got a really kind temperament. And I said, look, go and have a chat with Bob with you, but he's a little bit nervous. So Anne goes across to Bob and says, hi, Bob, how are you? He said, I'm okay, but I'm a bit scared that you're going to laugh at me. And she said, no, come on, Bob, I won't laugh at you. Why would I laugh? I'm a professional. In over 20 years, I have never laughed at a patient. I'm not sure. No, come on, Bob, honestly. I've never laughed at a patient. Okay, said Bob, and he proceeded to drop his trousers, revealing the smallest male part the nurse had ever seen. In length and width, it was almost identical to an AA battery. It was.
You must have
I couldn't
laughed.
control myself. The nurse, my nurse Anne, tried to stop a giggle, but it then came out, and she didn't know what to do. She felt very badly. She laughed at the man's part, and she composed herself. And said, "I'm so sorry," she said. "I don't know what came over me. On my honour, as a nurse and a lady, I promise that won't happen again. Now, Bob, tell me, what seems to be the problem?" Bob replied, "It's swollen." And she ran out of the room screaming and crying.
Terry's joke of the week.
I was watching Mark's face during most of that.
Terry.
That was donated, that one, by somebody. Somebody donated that one.
Don't think it was
It's the
me,
way you
is it?
tell him, it still makes me laugh, even though I know what's coming.
So, Jackie, you knew what the joke was going to be.
Yep, still
I-
makes me laugh.
I'm shocked that you didn't bring props. You could have just held up a AAA battery when he,
Oh, I shouldn't
Oh,
have
I did the laughing, yeah.
that.
Yeah, maybe one hand.
I was going to tell one about a pirate, but I'm going to save that till next week because it's quite long-winded. But it's
What
very
did you
good.
Hold on, what was the joke about, Terry? You going to tell next week? Is that
Next
pirate?
week is one about a pirate.
Oh, it's long-winded.
That one.
It's long-winded, yeah. Not short-legged.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. 50.
So anyway, that was my joke of the week.
Yeah, that was Terry's joke. We're just, just remind people. Hang on, there we are. Well, I've got it here somewhere. Where
Go
is it?
then.
Sorry, you're a bit late with that. Oh,
I got my own banner.
Yeah, you got your own banner. I never use it because we always do the joke first. Then I put the banner on afterwards.
Yeah.
Kim reckons
Well,
the
the
Mavic
FPV
3 is coming.
What?
Pardon?
Kim reckons
I
the
was going to say
Mavic
that
3.
What?
The Mavic 3 is coming.
Yeah,
Oh, the Mavic 3 is
it looks just like
Is
an
it true?
Inspire one.
Mark's shaking his
Behind me,
head.
look. There it is. They're behind me.
I don't think we'll see a Mavic 3 this year.
Don't you?
You think not?
Mm.
Oh, I think there's got to be. Because we've had the Air 2S, we've had the Mini. Actually, when did the Mini 2 come out? Last year, wasn't it? This year?
Yeah, it was last fall. Yeah.
Yeah, go have Mavic 3 then.
Yeah.
I mean,
Why they keep changing the name, though, Mark? I'm just going to call it the Mav 3.
the problem is, right, DJI has now discontinued a massive load of their range. So I was surprised, the Inspire 2 really should be up for replacement before anything else. So, but yeah, it's interesting because they've now said the M600 is done. The M210 is done. They've wiped out a massive load of the fleet. So I don't know. I don't see another one this year.
I don't know.
Well,
They'll bring out one
yeah,
before Christmas, won't they? Surely.
No,
What do
don't
you reckon then? Lauren say what a bet? No, what is it? That ain't Lauren. That's Lauren. That move, just I clicked on it. What a bet.
I'm very tempted to take that bet. If there's one this year, if a Mavic 3 appears this year, I will be surprised. Because the Air 2S is basically, it's the 1-inch sensor. The only, it's you may as well right now buy an Air 2S. But personally, if you said to me, would I buy an Air 2S or the Mavic 2 Pro? I would buy a second-hand Mavic 2 Pro, fly more pack for about $1,000. They'll be under £1,000. I reckon it'll be later than that. If they do, it'll be later than that. But I don't think
I did actually see some drawings, some sketchy
Oh, well,
drawings.
if you saw drawings, Steve, then hey.
It's
It's
happening.
going to happen.
Well, it means it's been designed, isn't it?
Well,
Just giving you a hard time, Steve.
what can they bring to the Mavic? If they made Mavic 3 Pro, what would they have to bring for that machine to make it compete against the Mavic 2 Air S?
360 OA.
As I've said all along, interchangeable cameras like the Inspire range.
No, you see, that's not a Mavic machine, is it? That's not that in that form. I don't see how that would go together, if you know what I mean. I mean, this
sensor thing. I mean, yeah. I mean,
it's like 360. People go, "Oh, it's going to be 360 camera," but you have to remember the Pro people. The Mavic 2 Pro is more. It's aimed at the top end video stuff, just below the Inspire 2.
Okay, but when you
got Mavic 2 Pro, so. It's got to fit in that world somehow. But a 360 camera doesn't fit in that world right now.
No.
I mean, you still need a camera like an Inspire type camera, the way it functions, to actually do professional footage. But maybe there's just other drone companies actually coming along to bring drones out and say, right, okay, well that's it. We won't bother then. I mean, obviously they don't come cheap, do they? I mean, the Inspires were always a very expensive drone, weren't they?
Oh, the Inspire 2 right now is a bargain. The Inspire 2 is now a bargain machine because people are just shifting them. I mean, because
it's like $2.5 they're asking for.
It's like the Mavic 2 Pro. That now in the second-hand market is an absolute bargain because people think they need to have the Air 2S. They think it's better than the 2 Pro, and the 2 Pro right now.
The only thing is with that, Mark. I mean, what makes that different? The Air 2S, the camera is it 5.4K? Am I right in saying?
I'm telling you, that 5.4K is brilliant. I did not think that I would be able to see that big of a difference.
And is that 30 frames per second, Marcus? Or
30 FPS. I down-res it to 4K on my YouTube videos. It's the damnedest thing I've ever seen. It just blew me away.
I think if the Mavic 3 appears, I think it'll have ProRes built in. I think that will be one of the big things. It might take an SSD and it might have ProRes. You know, they would have to step it up to 5.2K. It's got the Hasselblad camera in it already. Can they keep that camera or improve on it?
Well, because I'm betting. I mean, that doesn't say on the Air 2S that it's a Hasselblad camera. DJI actually own Hasselblad. So, but the actual sensor, the 1-inch sensor in that, is actually made by Sony.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would. So it has got them in a very, very beneficial point as far as cameras are concerned. But
it's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, I still fly a P4 Pro, and I will not move away from it. You know what I mean? Why would I move away from Why would I move away from Phantom 4 Pro when the 4 Pro destroys it? Yeah, the Inspire 2 is still used very, in TV production, and it's really good because the Inspire 2 means you can have a pilot, you have the camera up, and you work as a good team, and that's what you need when you're flying the big stuff.
Like that controller. I mean, I've only got one controller for that beast, but obviously you've got two control, and one's got HDMI out of it, so you're taking HDMI signal straight from the camera straight into the recording. I mean, I watched the horse racing. Where was it? I can't remember what racetrack it was now. But you can actually see there was an Inspire filming it. You can see the shadow going along the track. Lauren wants to say, can I explain how it's going to work? Lauren, explain how it's going to work. The Skydio's discontinued, by the way, Jackie.
Where's he gone? Come on, Lauren.
He's got to write it out first.
Yeah.
Heck, send him a quick link.
Lauren, do you want to come on here and explain? It might be quicker, mate.
Yeah, we haven't had Lauren on the show yet, have we?
Give him a link.
So Mark may not know Lauren. So we're all very familiar with Lauren Mark. He lives in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. and he worked for a local drone shop there quite a bit. And he's kind of does a lot of testing for DJI, so he has a pretty good feel for what's going on.
Yeah, that's my problem, Mark, because I can't find Lauren on my. How am I going to find him?
Yeah, hey, just a second, Steve. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll forward it to him. I'll forward him the link.
Oh yeah, you got it there, haven't you?
Yep.
Okay. That'd be a lot quicker, wouldn't it?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think a Mavic 3 will be interesting. What are they going to bring to the table? Is it going to be 6K? It's got to be better than an Air 2S.
Oh, Lauren says I can't come on right now. So the Air, so what you say, right? Okay, there we are. Look, the Air,
He's in the bath.
so the Air 2S is meant to replace the MP2 in the consumer end. The M3 is replacement for the current M2 Pro and the Inspire 2. There we are.
See, that's interesting because it's going to be interesting to see what happens. What hair?
He's in the bath.
What hair?
Yeah. Mark.
So
it'd be interesting where it fits because what camera has it? Can it take? Can't it take? If it's going to replace the Inspire 2, that's a big task because the X7 camera's nice, the X5S for that TV stuff, people like them. Then just plug it together, off it goes and works.
it's quite once you actually get around the fact that a detachable camera, and all those cameras are like turned. No, it's not quite fixed, but they're just something. It's locked in place, and then the gimbal does an automatic dance and goes round in circles, and I quite like that alone. What's it? DJI moved away from Lightbridge system and favoring the accuracy.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Well, no question. But one of the points that Mark just made that I think is really important with regard to how they're replacing these drones is the fact that if you're doing a commercial shoot, it's probably critical to have two operators. Anybody that's tried to, run their camera and fly the drone all at the same time, it can get tough. And
the only thing is, though, Mark, is you say that, but there is, as I said to you earlier on, one advantage you can actually, ideally you want one person flying the drone, one person operating the camera. However, because it's a 360 camera, you can actually just put the drone in place and actually just fly along.
Yeah, edit it.
How many TV shows do you know use 360?
No, I'm not saying that, Mark. I'm not saying go the way around. What I'm saying, if you was going to film a car coming down the road and go around the corner, you could put your drone in such a vantage point, with your finger on the screen and move the camera and follow the car.
Pan it.
Fingers and thumbs cannot be beaten. Fingers and thumbs for camera control. If you're flying as a pair, so when you've got your cameraman with you, right, you fly.
Oh, it's better. Yeah, I quite agree. Yeah.
You will not do any better than that. The best guys out there are pairs.
What I'm saying here, we're talking two different things because I'm talking about me on my own and flying a drone. You can't do them both at the same time. Well, you can if you're very bloody close.
That's a consumer product. Then this is going to be a high-end product. So why would it have the 360? Would be my question. Because there's
a lot of benefits to it.
If it's high-end production and I want to shoot in 5K, 6K, 360s don't shoot in that res yet very well. So they're not even there. They're getting there, but they're still, they're not quite right. But if you want a nice high-speed action shot, 360 cameras don't give what I would call a good image for, high-end stuff.
Hey, Mark. I think we've got a little bit of confusion here because I think what Steve is referring to is the fact that you can spin that camera in 360 degrees.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about. Yeah, sorry, Mark, I think he just means that you can.
Yes.
These three, no, sorry, yeah. I mean, 360 camera like Jackie used. I mean,
sorry, yeah. You mean the gimbal beneath, so the camera's got full movement.
Yeah, sorry,
that cannot be beaten. That's on the Inspire 2 and the Inspire 1. That cannot be beaten. The free flight.
The thing is, I've got this drone. I'm thinking, how on earth do you do it? I didn't realise that all you do is you literally put your finger on the screen and move it.
No,
Nice and easy.
finger and thumb. You'll find the best camera ops, the best pilots, typically a finger and thumb.
But how would you make? So how would you make it? How would you make a camera go like down and up like that? You'd have to fly the drone.
You can either fly the drone or you can pan the camera, can't you?
Well, it can be done. But practice. Yeah.
Then guess what happens? You know, if you're working as a media team, you know, your cameraman, you go out and you'll spend a day just flying, practicing. Tracking shots are the worst because trying to track something that's moving, you know, it never moves at the same speed twice. It's horrendous.
Actually, yeah, we were talking about the Mavic 2 Pro does this dual control.
It does.
What does that do? What are we doing there then with dual
You can
control?
use two controllers, Steve, and one person can then operate the camera, and the other person can just simply fly the drone.
Yeah, but you can only move the camera up and down, though.
Well, that's not entirely true. I get your point, but you can, just like you described, if you wanted to, you can put your finger on the screen and move it on your Mavic 2.
That's right. Which is exactly what.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I've tried that. Anyway,
Yeah.
not all. I've been sort of just hinting there.
One more point that I think DJI has done that's brilliant is I don't know if any of you have tried Focus Track like that Air 2S that I just showed. I can put it in Focus Track mode, and I can set a point of interest with the camera. And it doesn't have to be in the center of frame. You can set it in a corner, wherever you want that point of interest to be. And you can fly the drone, and the drone will automatically keep the camera on that point of interest, which is just amazing.
Yeah.
It works really cool.
Let's go roll. Right. That follows your head. Yeah. That's it. So, right. Okay. Well, best we better go better. Right, we've still got some people watching. Well, thanks ever so much. Mark, thanks for coming back again. And
Anytime.
Fascinating conversation, Mark. Thank you.
Check out the video. I've dropped it in the chat. But if you check out the video, if you want to know about the EU A2CFC,
yeah. Anyone want to check Mark's his YouTube channel, because he's got some very interesting stuff on it, as I said before, and lots of education. I watched it when I was doing my A2C. I watched it a lot. Right, okay. Time to go Benny Boy, thanks, and thank you very much. And we'll see you. We've got a special guest next week, are Mike and Sergio Toto.
Oh no! Oh good.
Otherwise known as.
Are they going to sing? Are they going to sing?
Good night.
Oh yeah, you got to sing.
Yeah. Good night, all.
Should we go now? Terry,
I like that one.
Joining us tonight on the Drone Seekers Sunday Show. It's good night from us until next time. Stay safe and fly safe.